In a far-off galaxy, nestled on an alien planet, there's a school unlike any other. The classrooms are filled with students from species beyond imagination, some with tentacles, some with multiple eyes, and others who float through the air like blobs of goo. The desks are hovering, the chairs squirming, and the textbooks glow in colors that would make even a rainbow feel jealous. The air smells faintly of sulfur and, curiously, freshly baked bread. No one really knows why, but it's somehow comforting. The walls hum with strange sounds, like they're trying to have a conversation with you, but don't quite know how to speak your language. It's a place where learning takes place on an entirely different level, where knowledge is absorbed through strange devices that seem more like science experiments than textbooks. And right in the middle of all this madness sits Todd, the only a human in the class. A little out of place, a little nervous, but mostly just trying to figure out how to survive this otherworldly school day. Meet Todd. He's the lone human student in a sea of aliens who, let's be honest, have probably never even seen a human before. His first day, well, it's not going as planned. Imagine being the only one who doesn't know how to speak the language, use the gadgets, or even sit properly in a hovering chair. Todd's been thrown into a classroom full of extraterrestrial intellectuals, and let's just say he's already regretting not doing more research about alien cultures before signing up. So, this is what my life has come to, Todd thinks to himself, as an alien with 4 arms hands him a glowing orb that, according to the alien, will help him grasp the concept of advanced quantum mechanics. Todd can't help but wonder if he'll be able to grasp the orb without it melting into a puddle of goo first. He sits there, trying to blend into the background, hoping that maybe, just maybe, no one will notice that he's not quite as advanced as the rest of them. Todd's first day at the alien school is not going well. He's sitting at the front of the class, trying to keep a low profile, hoping no one will notice that he's the only human in a room full of weirdly shaped, multi-eyed creatures. But it's not easy to blend in when the aliens seem absolutely determined to help him fit in. One of them, a small creature with tentacles, leans over and hands Todd a glass filled with a thick purple liquid. "This is Earth's most popular beverage," the alien says, its voice high-pitched but confident. Todd takes the drink, eyeing it suspiciously. It looks like someone mixed grape juice with something you'd find in a science lab. He takes a sip, and instantly his face scrunches up in disgust. It tastes like syrupy, overripe fruit mixed with something that's definitely not food. His stomach does a weird flip, and he wonders if this is how alien food poisoning begins. He coughs dramatically, trying to hide his discomfort. "Well, if I die from this, at least I'll have a cool obituary," Todd mutters under his breath, rolling his eyes. He's trying to play it cool, but really, he's just praying that he doesn't accidentally start glowing or transform into something unrecognizable. The alien who gave him the drink seems pleased by Todd's reaction and insists, "Yes, it's quite the human favorite, isn't it?" Todd, still trying to keep his composure, forces a smile and says, "Oh yeah, totally. Nothing like a good purple drink to start the day." The alien looks satisfied with his response, completely missing the sarcasm. Todd realizes that this is going to be harder than he thought, because it's not just about fitting in, it's about surviving in a world where helpful gestures are more likely to kill you than improve your situation. Todd's already feeling like an outsider, but things take a turn for the worse when the teacher, Professor Eldros, announces the buddy system. Todd barely has time to process what's happening before Zargul, a towering, multi-limbed alien with an unsettling number of eyes, is standing right next to him. Zargul's body is all smooth, shiny skin, and he smells like a mixture of fresh mint and burning rubber. Todd, who's been trying to avoid being noticed, now has a giant alien looming over him, smiling, or at least Todd thinks it's smiling, in a way that's definitely not reassuring. Zargle will be your buddy, Todd, the teacher says. And before Todd can even protest, Zargle enthusiastically grabs his arm, nearly lifting him out of his seat. I will help you adapt to our culture, human, Zargle declares, his voice booming, causing Todd to flinch. The alien stands so close that Todd can feel Zargul's breath, if you can call it that, on his face. It smells oddly like wet grass mixed with cinnamon. Todd, who's never been good at dealing with close talking, tries to scoot back in his chair, but finds that it's no use. Zargul's arm is around him now, and every attempt to create space only results in Zargle taking another step forward. Todd takes a deep breath, trying to keep his cool. So, the buddy system, huh? Todd says, his voice dripping with sarcasm. So I get a personal space invasion too. Lucky me. Zargle, clearly not picking up on the sarcasm, nods enthusiastically. Of course, human. Personal space is vital. That's why we stand so close to share the energy between us. A true bonding experience. Todd's mind races, trying to process how Zargle's bonding experience seems more like an awkward violation of every personal space rule Todd has ever known. He starts to sweat, his brain scrambling for an exit strategy. He then figures he can just let Zargle's help wash over him like a bizarre, uncomfortable wave. What else can he do? He's trapped in this alien school, surrounded by creatures who don't get basic human boundaries. Zargle's enthusiasm doesn't help either. Then Zargle, with his multiple eyes now fixed firmly on Todd, leans in even closer. I have also noticed that humans produce a valuable liquid from their skin when they are under stress. Is this how you prepare for battle? A defense mechanism? Todd's jaw drops. What? No! He laughs nervously, trying to keep his composure. That's just sweat. It happens when humans get uncomfortable. Zargle's face brightens. In understanding. Ah, so this is your way of communicating distress. Very interesting. I shall keep you under constant stress to learn more. He moves even closer, making Todd's heart race. Great, Todd mutters. Just what I needed. Alien science experiments and a personal space nightmare. Can't wait for this to be on my alien resume. At this point, Todd starts wondering if Zargle might be genuinely trying to help, but it sure doesn't feel that way. He can't help but think that if Earth had a buddy system, there'd be some serious privacy laws to prevent things like this from happening. But for now, he's stuck. And at least he's got someone to teach him about alien customs, just not in the way he had imagined. As if Todd's day wasn't awkward enough, things take another weird turn when Frixa, a tall, insect-like alien with shimmering exoskeleton plating, decides to give him a compliment. Frixa has multiple limbs that are far too graceful for someone with so many, and her glowing antennae twitch as she leans in to admire Todd from every angle, like she's inspecting a rare species. Todd, who's just trying to survive this alien social experiment, forces a tight-lipped smile and adjusts in his chair, praying for the bell to ring. You're different, Frixa says, her voice almost musical, but with a hint of confusion. Todd isn't sure if he should be flattered or terrified, but he braces himself anyway. Your skin is so squishy. Todd blinks, trying to process the compliment. Or whatever that was. Squishy. He's been called a lot of things in his life, but squishy has never been one of them. He glances down at his arms, which are in fact human, just like the rest of him. Nothing extraordinary. Thanks, Todd responds, already feeling his face heat up. I guess, Frixa continues, clearly proud of her observation. Yes, squishy is good. It's a sign of your advanced elasticity. Very valuable in the alien worlds, I believe. Todd is trying to stay calm, but the awkwardness of the situation is beginning to weigh on him. He can feel a bead of sweat forming on his forehead. Right. Squishy. That's a new one. He forces out another smile. Well, thanks. You should see me in a bathing suit. Really squishy then, The alien seems confused, not picking up on his sarcasm. "Bathing suit? What is this?" she asks, leaning in even closer, her many eyes wide with interest. Todd laughs nervously, realizing he just dug himself deeper. It's what humans wear when they go swimming, or well, when we'd expose our squishy skin to the sun to absorb the rays. Frixa stares at him for a moment, blinking in disbelief. "You expose your squishy skin to the sun?" Fascinating. Her antennae vibrate with excitement, clearly taking mental notes. Todd's brain starts to short-circuit. He can't help it. "Yeah, it's pretty normal for us. I mean, just your average earthling stuff, like surviving all kinds of ridiculous situations, while aliens complement our squishiness." He lets out a dramatic sigh, hoping Frixa will take the hint that this whole conversation is way off track. Frixa seems pleased, though, nodding slowly. "I will now study your squishiness. It is an important part of human biology, yes?" Todd stares at her, wondering just how much longer he can survive in a school full of aliens who don't quite get Earth's social cues. He forces himself to smile. "Sure, study away. Just don't expect any advanced knowledge about squishy skin, all right? I'm kind of a rookie at this." And with that, he mentally adds squishy to his ever-growing list of things he never thought he'd have to explain to extraterrestrial beings. The next bizarre moment in Todd's day comes courtesy of Creeb, an alien who looks like a cross between a jellyfish and an overzealous schoolteacher. Creeb floats into the room with a strange, glowing rock in one of its many translucent tentacles. "Human!" Creeb calls out in a voice that sounds like it's echoing from the deep end of a pool. "I have a gift for you." The rest of the class falls silent as Creeb floats over to Todd, the alien's tentacles waving like a hyperactive flag. Todd, still trying to keep it together, raises an eyebrow. A gift? Is it going to turn me into a squishy snack or something?" Creeb ignores the sarcasm and presents the rock. It's smooth, about the size of a small melon, and pulses with an eerie light. "This artifact is an ancient object from my home world," Creeb says proudly. "It has great power. When you hold it, you will experience visions of greatness." Todd stares at the rock with suspicion. He's not sure whether to accept it or run in the other direction. But Creeb, with all the enthusiasm of a child giving a presentation, hands it to him. "Greatness, huh?" "Sure, why not?" Todd mutters to himself. He takes the rock, and as soon as his fingers touch its surface, everything changes. The room begins to spin, and Todd feels his stomach lurch as the world around him warps into something completely bizarre. Suddenly, Todd is no longer sitting in a classroom. He's standing on a grassy field, at least it looks like grass, surrounded by aliens dressed in bright, ridiculous uniforms. The aliens are kicking something that looks like a human-sized ball, but the ball is shaped like a pizza. Todd's brain struggles to process what's happening as one of the aliens charges toward him, a football helmet on their head, looking like they're about to tackle him. The alien's mouth opens wide, revealing a set of sharp teeth, and as if that wasn't enough, the alien shouts, "Catch the pizza, human!" Todd's eyes widen. "Wait, am I the pizza?" he shouts in disbelief as the aliens swarm him, each one trying to grab a slice of his pizza self. The game quickly escalates into a chaotic mess of flying pizza and tackle-happy aliens, and Todd barely manages to stay on his feet as he tries to avoid being turned into a topping. "This is insane," he mutters. "I've had some weird dreams, but this is next level." Just when it seems like the game is about to end, with Todd being devoured by the alien players, the hallucination fades away, and Todd finds himself back in the classroom, still holding the rock. His heart is racing, and his palms are sweaty. The alien students are all staring at him expectantly, waiting for a response. Creeb's tentacles are twitching in excitement. "So," Todd says, forcing himself to catch his breath, "I'm a pizza now. Cool. I always thought I'd be more of a taco guy, but hey, I guess I'm flexible." He puts the rock down on the desk, feeling a mix of confusion and relief. What was that? A football game with aliens trying to eat me? Is this what passes for greatness around here? Krebe is absolutely delighted by Todd's reaction. "Yes, exactly. You now understand. The greatness of my world. You were the centerpiece of our most sacred game, the great pizza chase." Todd blinks, feeling like his mind is still catching up. "You know," he says, rubbing his temples, "I really need to stop accepting gifts from aliens. First it's squishy skin compliments, and now I'm the main course in an intergalactic food fight. Maybe next time I'll just stick with a nice card or something." As Todd sits there trying to process the fact that he's been turned into a pizza and chased around by aliens for what seemed like hours, he realizes that he's getting a crash course in the absurdity of alien culture. Whether he likes it or not, as the day goes on, Todd's patience continues to wear thinner than his hope of surviving this school year without a nervous breakdown. Every interaction, no matter how bizarre, is met with sarcasm. Because really, what else can he do? It's clear the aliens are trying to help, but they're also accidentally making his life a living nightmare. By the time the bell rings for lunch, Todd has reached peak sarcasm levels. He's no longer trying to hide his discomfort. He's embracing it with a biting humor that for once feels almost empowering. Zargle, his overly enthusiastic buddy, has been following him around all morning, insisting on introducing Todd to more of the Earth practices he assumes Todd must be unaware of. "Todd, we must engage in the ritual of handshaking," Zargle exclaims, holding up all four of his arms and thrusting them toward Todd in a way that makes it clear he expects an elaborate handshake involving multiple appendages. Todd, already exhausted, stares at Zargle's arms, unsure how to react. "Oh, you sure, Zargle? Handshakes? Yeah, because forearms are totally necessary for that. How about I just fist bump each one of your tentacles and call it a day?" Todd says, raising an eyebrow in his signature sarcastic style. Zargle stares blankly, not picking up on the joke, and moves even closer. Todd, now visibly annoyed, decides to turn the sarcasm up a notch. "Oh, and you know what, Zargle? Since we're so close, why don't we just skip the handshake and maybe go for a hug next? I can't wait to feel your energy all over me." At this point, Zargle still doesn't get it, but the other students in the class start to notice the tension. They're confused, unsure of why Todd is becoming so aggressive. At least in their eyes. Frixa, the alien who once complimented Todd's squishy skin, now tries to engage him in a conversation about human socialization, utterly misunderstanding every word Todd says. "So, human," Frixa says, leaning in with that same gleam in her multifaceted eyes, "I hear your species engages in small talk for social bonding. Tell me about your squishy skin again. Why is it so squishy?" Todd groans, pinching the bridge of his nose. "Frixa, I swear, if you ask me about my squishy skin one more time, I'm going to explode. And by explode, I mean I'll either melt into a puddle of sarcasm, or I'll start using the human art of avoiding all social contact permanently." He's so deep into sarcasm now that he's practically running on pure frustration. Finally, Professor Eldros, who has been silently observing the entire class with what could only be described as an ancient wise, "I'm pretending I don't see anything," look, speaks up. "Enough," he says in a calm but firm voice, his many eyes narrowing as he looks around at his students. "It seems we have missed a vital lesson today." The room goes silent, and all eyes turn to the professor, who stands slowly and raises one of his many tentacles to silence the murmurs. "Students," he begins, his voice soft but carrying a weight of authority, "do you not see what's happening? You think you are helping Todd. You believe that all these strange actions are ways to make him feel included. But instead, you are alienating him. His sarcasm, his frustration. Do you not understand that they are signs that you have crossed a boundary? The alien students look around at each other, confusion spreading through their faces. They've been so wrapped up in their own excitement to introduce Todd to their ways that they haven't realized they've pushed him to his breaking point. Zargul, who had been so proud of his buddy system, tilts his head. But we were only trying to share our knowledge, our culture. Professor Eldros sighs, a long, drawn-out sound that seems to echo through the room. That is the problem. You assume Todd would understand your ways. But empathy, my dear students, is not about imposing your customs on others. It's about understanding their feelings and respecting their boundaries. Todd is not from our world. He is human. And while you may see your actions as helpful, they are, in fact, making him feel uncomfortable. And that, my students, is what we must avoid. We must learn to understand others without making them feel inferior or out of place. Todd, still simmering with sarcasm, crosses his arms. Wow, I didn't know I was in for an empathy lecture. Today, thanks, Professor. I was starting to think I was just the punchline of some cosmic joke. His words are sharp, but he's relieved that someone is finally noticing his struggle. The alien students, finally realizing the extent of their mistake, start to shift uncomfortably in their seats. Professor Eldros looks at Todd with a gentle smile. I understand that your experience here has not been ideal, but it is never too late to learn, and my students, I believe, are ready to change. And for the first time all day, Todd feels a small glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, these aliens will start to understand what it means to respect his personal space and his sanity. The atmosphere in the classroom shifts dramatically after Professor Eldros's intervention. The alien students, all of whom had been so eager to help Todd in their own peculiar ways, are now quietly processing what they've done. They look at one another, their confusion slowly turning into embarrassment. It's clear that they've misunderstood the human experience, and now they're beginning to grasp the consequences of their actions. The silence is thick with awkwardness, and even the glowing lights in the room seem to dim slightly, as if the classroom itself is holding its breath. Zargul, the ever-enthusiastic four-armed alien, is the first to speak up, though his voice lacks the usual overconfidence. Todd, he begins, his tone much softer than before, I did not realize that standing so close to you was causing discomfort. I only wanted to help you feel more connected. He stumbles over his words, clearly embarrassed by his earlier behavior. It was never my intention to make you feel trapped. Todd raises an eyebrow, his sarcasm still present but a little gentler now. Well, Zargul, you definitely helped me feel something, mostly panic. But hey, I get it now. Personal space. It's a thing. A big thing. Maybe next time, instead of invading my personal bubble, you could just, I don't know, wave or something. Zargul looks down, his many eyes focused on the floor in what appears to be guilt. Yes, I see now. Personal space. I will respect it from now on. I apologize. Todd. Next is Frixa, the alien who had complimented Todd's squishy skin. She stands with her antennae twitching nervously, clearly trying to figure out how to make things right. Todd, she begins, her voice much more tentative than usual. I misunderstood your skin. I thought it was a sign of strength, something to admire, but I see now that I made you uncomfortable by focusing on it too much. She looks at him, a little flustered, before adding, I am sorry for my obsession with your squishy skin. Todd, though still maintaining his sarcastic edge, feels a little more understanding. Well, thanks, Frixa. I mean, not every day you get told you've got squishy skin. It's definitely one for the books. He grins, though it's less biting now. Next time, maybe just compliment my personality instead. It's a lot less Squishy. Frixa nods rapidly, looking relieved that Todd isn't completely offended. Yes, compliment your human qualities. I will remember this. Thank you for your patience, Todd. Finally, Creeb, the alien who turned Todd into a pizza in his hallucination, floats up to him with a look of sincere regret. Todd, Creeb says, its voice soft. I did not realize that the artifact I gave you would cause such distress. I thought it was a gift of joy, a window into the greatness of my world. Instead, it seems I have only confused you. For this I am truly sorry. Todd can't help but smirk, even though part of him still feels a little unsettled by the whole pizza incident. Well, Creeb, that's one way to say you're sorry. But next time, I'd appreciate it if you didn't give me a rock that turns me into a pizza, Todd says, his voice dripping with sarcasm. I mean, I love food and all, but I wasn't really aiming to become the main course in an intergalactic football game. Creeb's many eyes blink rapidly, looking even more embarrassed than before. Yes, no more pizza-related experiences. I promise, Todd chuckles, though it's a light-hearted sound now. All right, I'll let you off the hook this time. Just no more transforming me into food, okay? I'm still processing that whole pizza-chasing aliens thing. The aliens nod in unison, all appearing genuinely sorry for their behavior. Even though they don't fully understand human culture, they're beginning to see that their attempts to help were more harmful than they realized. The room, once filled with awkwardness, now feels a bit lighter. There's a sense of camaraderie starting to form, albeit a quirky one. Professor Eldros, watching the scene unfold with a proud smile, nods in approval. See, my students, he says, empathy is the first step toward understanding one another. And though you may still have a lot to learn about humans, I believe you are on the right path. You've made an important realization today. Now we must continue learning together, respecting each other's differences, and perhaps not turning anyone into a pizza. Todd, now feeling a little less like a lone human in a sea of confusion, nods with a grin. I think we can all agree on that, Professor. No one should ever be turned into pizza again. And with that, Todd's sarcastic armor begins to soften, and for the first time that day, he feels like maybe, just maybe, he's not the odd one out in this alien school after all. After the awkward apologies and the bizarre emotional roller coaster of the morning, Todd's day takes a turn for the better. The alien students, now aware of their previous missteps, are genuinely curious about human culture and eager to learn more. Todd, though still slightly exhausted from the chaos, is relieved to finally be the one answering questions instead of dodging them. It's clear that the aliens have learned an important lesson. Human culture is confusing, but that doesn't mean it should be disrespected. And just maybe, Todd's sarcasm has softened enough to make him appreciate the absurdity of it all. Zargul, who's been much quieter since the whole personal space disaster, is the first to speak up. Todd, he says, his tone much less forceful now. You mentioned something about a human sport earlier. What is this? Football? You said it's important to your kind. Is it like the great pizza chase, but with more aggressive tactics? Todd lets out a laugh, though it's more of a sigh of relief. Oh, football. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal back on Earth. But no, it's not about chasing pizza, though honestly, that would make it way more interesting. Football is, it's a game where two teams try to move a ball down a field to score points, but it's also about tackling the other team. So imagine a bunch of humans running around, slamming into each other like bumper cars, all to get this ball into a specific spot on the field. The aliens blink at him in unison, processing the information with varying degrees of confusion. Wait, Frixa says, her antennae twitching. You hit each other on purpose. She sounds both horrified and fascinated, like she's trying to understand a form of combat with a bizarre twist. Todd shrugs, enjoying the idea of explaining something so normal to beings who have never even considered it. Yeah, it's pretty much the point. You know, humans sometimes solve problems with, well, not fighting per se, but aggressive contact. A lot of chest pounding, yelling, and tackling. It's all part of the fun, right? The more you knock someone down, the more points you get. And for some reason, people go nuts for it. The aliens look at each other, muttering among themselves in their own language. Todd can tell they're processing it, but there's no way they're fully getting the picture. Still, they seem intrigued by this idea of organized chaos. It sounds dangerous, Krebe chimes in, its voice full of wonder. Humans enjoy danger? Sometimes, Todd says, grinning. But don't worry, Krebe. No one's actually trying to kill anyone. It's all in good fun, kind of like your great pizza chase, but with less eating each other. The alien students seem to consider this, nodding thoughtfully. Then, without warning, Frixa speaks again, her voice full of eager curiosity. And what about this pizza? I've heard much about it from your earlier remarks. What is this delicious dish? Todd's face lights up at the mention of pizza. Finally, something he knows well. Oh, pizza? Now we're talking. It's basically the best food humans have ever come up with. You start with dough, kind of like a soft, bready base, and then you top it with tomato sauce, cheese, and all sorts of toppings. You can have it with pepperoni, veggies, even pineapple if you're feeling adventurous. And the best part, you can eat it anywhere. It's portable, it's cheesy, and it's basically the most perfect food on Earth. Frixa, who's been listening intently, looks utterly captivated. This pizza sounds magnificent. Can we make some for ourselves? Will it be squishy? Todd laughs, though he can't quite help the feeling of pride that comes with describing something as iconic as pizza. Well, pizza can be a little squishy if you're not careful with how you cook it, but trust me, it's a game changer. The cheese, the crust, the toppings, it's the perfect combination of everything that's good about food. The alien students seem mesmerized by the idea of pizza, and Todd can practically see the wheels turning in their minds as they try to envision this magical food. They're asking more and more questions, each one more outlandish than the last. Can pizza be made with laser cheese? Zargle asks, his tentacles shaking with excitement. Todd grins, feeling a little more at home in this odd classroom than he did earlier. Maybe. If you can invent it, go for it. Pizza's all about creativity. As the questions continue, Todd realizes that maybe this whole cultural exchange isn't so bad after all. He's finally teaching the aliens something about Earth, and more importantly, they're actually listening and respecting the human way of life, however odd it might seem to them. Just as the class begins to settle into a rhythm of learning and discovery, Professor Eldros clears his throat, bringing everyone's attention back to him. Excellent, my students. I see you are embracing human culture with great enthusiasm, he says, his voice rich with wisdom. But remember, it is not enough to simply learn about another species' food and sports. True understanding comes from respecting boundaries, acknowledging differences, and appreciating what makes each culture unique. The alien students nod in unison, looking thoughtful. Professor Eldros smiles, pleased with their progress. And Todd, he adds, you have done an excellent job of showing us how to approach another culture with both humor and patience. You've demonstrated that learning is not just about facts and figures. It's about understanding one another, and that, dear students, is the most important lesson of all. Todd can't help but grin, a little surprised at how much he's learned from this whole experience. Well, I guess I've survived my first day in alien school. And hey, at least now I'm the expert on pizza. The class bursts into laughter, the once awkward tension completely dissipating. Todd, though still a little baffled by the whole experience, feels a sense of accomplishment. Maybe fitting in with aliens isn't so impossible after all. As the class comes to an end, Todd can't help but reflect on just how bizarre and exhausting his first day at an alien school has been. But despite the confusion, the awkwardness, And the occasional near-death experiences, thank you, pizza hallucinations, something has shifted. The alien students, once an overwhelming force of miscommunication and misunderstanding, are starting to feel a little more human. Well, as human as a multi-eyed tentacle monster or a floating jellyfish creature can get. Zargle, for example, is now standing at a respectable distance from Todd, offering a proper handshake, though it still involves all four of his arms. Frixa, the squishy skin enthusiast, is asking Todd for tips on human snacks, and Krebe has already started sketching out plans for an intergalactic pizza-making business with laser cheese, naturally. The classroom is buzzing with energy as Todd's sarcastic remarks and the alien students' newfound understanding of human customs seem to have brought them closer together. They're laughing, exchanging stories, and sharing more than just strange customs now. They're sharing a connection. Todd, who has been carefully observing the transformation in his classmates, can't help but shake his head in disbelief. "Well, this is new," he mutters under his breath, more to himself than anyone else. He turns to the camera with a smirk and says, "Being bullied by aliens was the best education I've ever gotten. Who's next for pizza-making lessons?" The aliens all look at him, grinning like they've just discovered the secret to human happiness, and Todd can't help but feel a little less like an outcast. Professor Eldros, who's been quietly observing the whole scene, finally speaks up with a wise smile. "Perhaps a bit of both, young human," he says, his many eyes twinkling with amusement. Todd laughs, finally feeling at ease. All right. I guess that's my cue to start prepping the dough." And with that, the classroom, once filled with awkward tension and misunderstandings, now feels like the beginning of a real friendship, however weird and squishy it might be. Todd, the alien students, and even Professor Eldros have learned something important today. Sometimes the best way to understand someone is to stumble, mess up, and then laugh about it together.